Good evening, dear students. Next topic, that is cationic mechanism of polymerization. So we have discussed in our last video the addition polymerization, the mechanism of addition polymerization. So the free radical polymerization. Okay. Then the next mechanism regarding the addition polymerization is cationic mechanism of polymerization. Okay. So here this cationic mechanism, this reaction will be taking place in presence of some catalyst. Okay, the reaction will be taking place in the presence of some catalyst, and the catalyst, it can be halo acids. The catalyst can be halo acids, then Lewis acids. Lewis acids, you know, Lewis acids like aluminum chloride, BF3 boron trifluoride, etc. Or it can be done in presence of sulfuric acid. Okay, so these are some of the catalysts used. Then the next is the mechanism. So here also this mechanism involves 3 steps. The first step, that is the initiation. This mechanism is also very simple. So first is initiation. So for the initiation of the reaction, a proton or a proton H plus or Y plus, suppose we are using another cation, say it as Y plus, is used. So this is an acid cation. So this is the initiator for this reaction. So this will, since this is an addition polymerization reaction, there will be a presence of double bond, isn't it? So here we can write a double bonded compound CH2, double bond CH, single bond X. Okay. So during the attack of this proton or this cation, what happens? The electron will be, the pi electron will be shifting to this particular carbon atom. So that this carbon will be getting a negative charge and this carbon will be getting a positive charge. Okay. So this carbon will be getting negative charge. So what happens? This Y plus will be attacking this negatively charged carbon atom. Okay. So Y plus will be attacking this negatively charged carbon atom. So we can write the reaction as Y single bond CH2, then single bond CHX. Okay. So this carbon will be having a positive charge. Then again the polymerization reaction. So N molecules of this compound, that is NCH2 double bond CHX. NCH2 double bond CHX. So this species, this N number of molecules will be attacking this carbocation. So again what happens? This electron pair will be shifting to this carbon atom, so that this carbon will be getting a negative charge and for this carbon a positive charge. So again this minus charge to this minus charged carbon atom, this positively charged carbon will be attacking, or a bond will be formed there. Okay. So the product will be like this: Y CH2, then CH X, then again this CH2, isn't it? Then single bond CH2, then single bond CH plus, then X. Okay. So here this species will be repeating. CH2, CHX will be the repeating species. So this we can write it as N times. Okay. CH2, CHX N times. So this is the second step, that is the this is the second step, propagation step. Okay, the second step, propagation step, I forgot to tell. This is the propagation step. Then the third one, that is the termination step. Termination. So in termination step, see here what happens, a positive charge is there. So it has to be neutralized. So what happens? There will be a combination with an anion, isn't it? It will be combining with an anion. Combination with an anion. Combination with an anion. So what happens? So we can write this compound Y CH2, then CHX N times, single bond CH2, then CH plus X. Okay, this compound plus one anion, let it be Z minus. Okay, so this Z minus will be attacking this positively charged center. Okay, like this. So what happens? The product will be Y CH2, this part CH2, CHX, then N times single bond, CH2, CHX, okay, CHX, then EZ. CHX, EZ. Okay, so this is the polymer. So here the chain growth is stopped, or this is a dead polymer. Okay, so further this reaction is not going on. So these are the three steps involved in the cationic mechanism. So this is also very simple. You just add a proton to this unsaturated carbon. Okay, then the second step, that is the propagation. So there n molecules of the unsaturated compound will be adding up, and in the third stage, termination, that is it will be combining with an anion. Okay, so at the initial stage it will be combining with a proton or a cation, and in the final step it will be combining with an anion. So this is the cationic mechanism of polymerization. Okay. Then the third one, that is the anionic mechanism of polymerization. Third one, anionic mechanism of polymerization. So these three are very important. This will be asked for your essay part. Anionic mechanism of polymerization. The three mechanisms are very important. Sometimes it will be asked in section C or in section D. Okay. So in the case of this anionic mechanism, here also three steps are there, as in the previous case, that is initiation, propagation, and termination. So here the reaction, the catalyst used in this reaction will be a base, catalyzed by a base. So let the base, let it be B minus. Okay. So what happens? The first step is the initiation. An anion will be attacking the unsaturated compound, isn't it? Since it is an anionic mechanism, an anion will be attacking. So let the anion, let it be Z minus. Z minus will be attacking this unsaturated compound, that is CH2 double bond CHX. So let this electron shift like this. So what happens? This carbon will be getting a positive charge, and this carbon will be getting a negative charge. So this to this positive center, the Z minus will be attacking. Okay, to the positive center, Z minus is attacking. So it becomes Z, then CH2, then single bond, then CHX. Here one negative charge at this carbon. Okay, so this is a carbanion, that is carbon carrying a negative charge. So this is a carbanion. Okay, so this is the first step. This is the base. Okay, base and the carbanion. This is the first step. Then the second step, that is the propagation. See, for this topic, I won't give you the notes. Okay. So the second step, propagation. Propagation. So here Z, then CH2, CH minus, then X, plus n molecules of this compound, that is CH2 double bond CHX, n times. Okay, n times will be giving. So again this electron pair will be shifting to this carbon. This carbon will be getting a positive charge and this carbon negative. So this negatively charged carbon atom will be attacking the positive center, isn't it? So the product will be Z, CH2, then CHX, then single bond CH2, then single bond CH, then positive charge, then X. Okay, so n molecules. So while n molecules are added, the repeating unit will be CH2 CHX, isn't it? So the repeating unit CH2 CHX. This will be the repeating unit n times. Okay, sorry, here a negative charge. Okay, here a carbanion, isn't it? In the anionic mechanism, a carbanion is formed. So this is the second step, that is the propagation step. Okay, you have to write here negative charge. Since the electron pair is shifting to this carbon atom, there will be a negative charge. Okay, then in the third step, that is the termination. Termination. So termination, what happens? This negatively charged carbon atom, negative charge has to be neutralized. So this will be combining with a proton. So combines with a proton. Combines with a proton. So let us write the same compound Z, then CH2, then CHX, then CH2. Here it is N times, then single bond CHX minus. Okay. So in presence of H plus. That is, it will be combining with a proton, so that this H plus will be attacking this carbon atom. So the product will be Z, CH2, then CHX, then CH2, here N times, CH2, then CH, here CH2, isn't it? CH2, then X. I am writing it in a straight fashion. Okay, so this is the polymer formed. So these are the three steps involved in the anionic mechanism. So in the cationic mechanism, the species which is attacking is the cation, and in the anionic mechanism, the initiator will be an anion or a base. Okay. So this is the third one, that is the cationic mechanism. Then the next one, another polymerization, that is the coordination polymerization. Okay. The fourth one, that is the coordination polymerization. Coordination polymerization. This is also very important, coordination polymerization or Ziegler-Natta polymerization or Ziegler-Natta polymerization. Ziegler-Natta polymerization, coordination polymerization or Ziegler-Natta. See here, the catalyst used will be Ziegler-Natta catalyst, isn't it? Ziegler-Natta catalyst, it can be this polymerization, it was discovered by Ziegler and Natta, and also here a combination of a transition metal halide. Transition metal halide, see here titanium tetrachloride, TiCl4 or TiCl3, titanium trichloride, or halides of other transition metal halides, or halides of vanadium, then zirconium, then chromium, molybdenum, tungsten. These all halides can be taken. Okay. So this halides on combination with organometallic compounds. Okay. So this one plus organometallic compounds. Organometallic compounds. So here organometallic compounds, let it be triethyl aluminium, ethyl, that is C2H5 thrice, triethyl 3 times, triethyl aluminium, or it can be trimethyl aluminium, CH3 thrice Al. So this is triethyl aluminium, or and this is trimethyl aluminium. So both these are used for this coordination polymerization. Okay. So here halides of this transition metals, and the transition metals can be titanium, vanadium, zirconium, chromium, molybdenum and tungsten, plus this any of the organometallic compound. Organometallic compound means organic compound in combination with a metal. So this is triethyl aluminium and trimethyl aluminium. Okay, so these catalysts, the combination of these two catalysts are used in this coordination polymerization. So normally sometimes it will be asked what is a Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Okay, so you have to write down the Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Here also the mechanism, it involves 3 steps for coordination polymerization. So this reaction or this polymerization reaction, it is initialized by a catalyst. So the catalyst used is Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Okay, so the Ziegler-Natta catalyst, it is a combination of transition metal halides, and the transition metals can be titanium, vanadium, chromium, zirconium, molybdenum, tungsten plus organometallic compound. Okay, then the next is the mechanism. So first step, initiation. So the initiator is the catalyst, and the catalyst can be represented as R dash catalyst. Okay, so this is a complex catalyst, that is a Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Complex catalyst, that is R dash catalyst, plus the monomer. Here an unsaturated monomer, isn't it? CH2 double bond CHR. monomer. So here both of this will be combining to form, see, this particular bond will be breaking, two valencies will be freed, and this R dash will be joining to this carbon atom. Okay, so this R dash will be attacking this carbon atom. So the product will be catalyst. So this catalyst will be attacking this carbon. Okay, catalyst CH2, catalyst will be attacking this carbon. Catalyst CH2, then single bond CH, then R dash R. Okay, R dash. Okay, so this is the first step. So this R dash will be attacking this carbon and this catalyst will be attacking this carbon. So catalyst CH2, single bond CHR R dash. Okay. Then the next is the second step, that is the propagation step. Propagation step. Again, in the propagation step, we have to write that compound catalyst CH2 CHR R dash. CH2 CHR R dash. I am writing it like this. Okay. So this will be combining with different monomers, n number of monomers, that is N CH2 double bond CH R dash. Okay. So again, this will be attacking. So here this bond breaks and one of them will be getting a positive charge and the other one, or the two valencies, will be freed. Okay. So this catalyst will be attacking. This catalyst CH2 will be attacking to these positions. So the product will be catalyst CH2, then CHR, then again this bond breaks, isn't it? Then CH2, single bond CH2, then CHR, this R will be attacking, this carbon atom. Okay, CHR, then R dash. Okay, this R will be attacking this CH and the catalyst will be attacking this CH2. Okay, so catalyst CH2, CHR, then CH2, CHR, R dash. So here the repeating unit is CH2, CHR dash, isn't it? CH2, CHR dash will be the repeating unit. CH2, CHR dash will be the repeating unit. So I have to write it like this. R dash, this is R. Okay. Then you can put it as N times. Okay. Then the next step, that is the termination step. Third one, termination. Termination step. Again, you have to write this compound catalyst CH2, CHR, then CH2, CHR dash, N times R. Okay, plus HX. Plus HX giving, so here this catalyst will be combining with this X. Okay, so it becomes catalyst X plus CH3, this hydrogen will be joining here. Okay, CH3, then CHR, then CH2, CH, R dash, R, N times. So here this H plus and X minus will be added up. X minus will be going to the catalyst part and the H plus will be going to this CH2. Okay, so that it becomes CH3 and X minus will be added to this catalyst part. Okay, so this is the termination step. So these are the three steps involved in the Ziegler-Natta polymerization. So this is also very important. I think there is no need of repetition of these reactions or these mechanisms. Then the next is some of the uses of Ziegler-Natta polymerization. Uses of Ziegler-Natta. So here it is used to prepare, the first use, it is used to prepare polypropylene, comma, polyethylene, polypropylene, polyethylene, polydiene. And also then another important use is that stereospecific polymers can be obtained. Stereospecific, you have studied the stereochemistry, isn't it? So the stereospecific polymers can be obtained. That is the required type of polymers we can obtain by using this Ziegler-Natta polymerization. And the next important use is desired type of stereoisomers. Desired type of stereoisomers can be prepared. Different type of stereoisomers can be prepared. That is, we have studied tacticity, isn't it? That is atactic or isotactic or syntactic, whatever we require, we can prepare with the help of this Ziegler-Natta polymerization or syntactic. Any type of polymer can be prepared. So these are some of the important uses. So it is used to prepare polypropylene, polyethylene, polydiene. Stereospecific polymers can be prepared. Desired type of stereoisomers based on the tacticity can also be prepared. Okay. Then the next topic, that is plastics. Plastics. See, plastics, as you know, they are organic materials, isn't it? They are organic materials. Then what are some of the characteristics of organic materials? They have got high molecular weight, and can be molded into any desired form. These all things you know, isn't it? I will be just mentioning all these. Molded into desired form. Then while applying heat and pressure, isn't it? By applying heat and pressure can be molded into desired form by applying heat and pressure, and also in the presence of a catalyst. These are some of the conditions for preparing a plastic. Okay, so plastics, if a definition is asked, you can write it like this. Plastics are organic materials having high molecular weight. It can be molded into desired form by applying heat and pressure, and also in the presence of a catalyst. And also, while the preparation of plastics, some other chemicals or some other materials are also added while during the preparation of plastics. So that they are called as the resins. So resins, these are the basic binding materials. Resins are the basic binding materials, just as we use gum, isn't it, for pasting something. So here also, for while during the preparation of plastics, these resins are also added, and these resins are the basic binding materials, and also they form the major part of plastic. They forms the major part of plastics. And also they will also be undergoing this polymerization as well as condensation reactions during their preparation. Okay, polymerization reactions and condensation reactions will be undergoing by these resins. Polymerization and condensation reactions are done during the preparation. So these are resins. So these are some of the definitions for plastic and resins, and also I will be giving in your notebook, in your notes, that is importance of plastics. That is, so many points are there. I will just read by taking the notes. Okay, please wait. See, these are some of the, say, some water is fall here. See, importance of plastics: lightness in weight, then good thermal and electrical insulators, corrosion resistant, easy workable, then adhesiveness, low fabrication cost, then decorative surface effect, shiny and glossy appearance are there, easy to mold, then insect resistant or insect repellent, then low thermal expansion coefficient, chemical inertness to light, oils, etc. Then low maintenance cost, high refractive index, variety of colors, shades, etc. Good shock absorbing capacity, high resistance to abrasion, impermeable to water, good strength, and excellent in finish. So these are some of the major important features of plastics, and that is why in our day-to-day life we are using so much quantity of plastics, isn't it? Due to all these positive factors, Even though it will be harmfully affecting our environment, we are using a large quantity of plastics daily, isn't it? So these are some of the important characteristics of plastics. These notes will be uploaded, then you can write these points also. Okay. Then the next is classification of plastics. It is very important. Classification of plastics. Two types. They are thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. And first case, thermoplastics, we can see some of the characteristics of these two. Okay, thermoplastics means it is just, while preparing these thermoplastics, it is just a reversible process. That means these thermoplastics can be softened on heating, and while cooling, it will be hardened. And hardened on cooling. That means once it is heated, it softens, and while cooled, it again undergoes reversibly. A physical change will be happening in the case of thermoplastics. That means on cooling, it gets hardened. Again, if we are heating it, it will be softened. So it is just a reverse process. Okay, it is a reverse process, or a physical change is happening there. So on cooling, what happens? It will be regaining its original rigidity and hardness. It will be having its rigidity and hardness on cooling. So thermoplastics means it can be softened on heating, and while cooling, it will be hardened. Okay, but at the same time, in the case of thermosetting plastics, just is the reverse. That means during the molding process, that means on heating it gets softened, and once solidified, it cannot be softened. Okay, softened on heating, but once it gets hardened means on cooling. Okay, once it gets hardened, what happens? It cannot be softened. Can't be softened on cooling. Okay. So it is not a reverse process or no physical change. That is, once it is hardened, it is hardened. It cannot be softened back. Okay. So they are permanent setting resins. These thermosetting plastics, they are permanent setting resins. And also, see here, during the process of polymerization, or during the molding process, we can say it as a molding process. So during this molding process, they will be having a three-dimensional cross-linked structure. Okay, and also this three-dimensional cross-linked structure, it will be formed with the help of covalent bonds. Three-dimensional cross-linked structure will be formed with the help of covalent bonds. And also, what happens if we are heating it for a prolonged time? What happens? This charring results, or the bonds will be broken, and charring results, or the polymer will be destroyed. Okay, charring results on prolonged heating. Okay, and also they are usually, comparing to thermoplastics, these thermosetting plastics are harder, stronger, and more brittle. Brittle means easily breakable. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics of thermosetting plastics. And also here the change is, in the case of thermoplastics, the change is only physical change. Okay, that means it can be reversed. And also this such type of plastics, they will be formed as a result of addition polymerization. Formed as a result of addition polymerization. And they will be having addition polymerization means the result will be a long chain linear structure. A long chain linear structure will be obtained. So these are some of the characteristics of thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Then this is very important, thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics, and also it will be asked for the distinction between thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Okay, so I will be telling the distinction or the differentiation between thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. So the first point is that it softens on heating, hardens on cooling. Then this one, okay, it cannot be reversed. Then thermosetting plastics, it is formed by addition polymerization. Okay, that is the second point, addition polymerization. Then here in the case of thermosetting plastics, they are formed by condensation polymerization. Okay, second point, this thermosetting plastics formed by condensation polymerization. Then thermosetting plastics, the third point is that it will be having a long chain linear structure with negligible crosslinks. Long chain linear structure with negligible crosslinks. Negligible crosslinks. At the same time, see for this one, thermosetting plastics, it will be having a three-dimensional cross-linked structure, and it is very hard also, and they are formed by covalent bonds. Then the next point, the fourth point, on reheating. On reheating, they can be softened, isn't it? Already written. They can be softened, reshaped and reused. Softened, reshaped and reused. And also then the next point, they are soft, weak and less brittle. Soft, weak and less brittle. Then the next point, can be reclaimed from waste. Can be reobtained from waste. Then the seventh point, they are soluble in organic solvents. They are soluble in organic solvents. Okay, so these are some of the points. See here, in the case of thermosetting plastics, the fourth difference, okay, fourth difference is it can retain its shape even after shape and structure even after heating. Shape and structure even after heating. That is the fourth point. Then fifth point, in the case of thermoplastics, it is soft, weak and less brittle. But in the case of thermosetting plastics, they are hard. It is already written, I think. Hard, strong and more brittle. Hard, strong and more brittle. Okay. Then the next point, sixth point, thermoplastics can be reclaimed from waste, but the thermosetting plastics cannot be reclaimed from waste or reobtained from waste. And the seventh point, the last point, see here thermoplastics, they are soluble in organic solvents. Here thermosetting, they are insoluble in organic solvents. Insoluble in organic solvents due to the presence of, what happens here, strong covalent bonds are there, isn't it, with three-dimensional network. So therefore they are insoluble in organic solvents due to the presence of strong bonds. Due to the presence of strong bonds. Okay, so these are some of the characteristic features of thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. So you have to study both. It will be asked for definition or for the distinction between these two, thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Okay. So in the next video we can go through some of the important thermosetting polymers. Okay, or thermosetting plastics. There you have to study some reactions also. It's also very easy. So we can so please write down the notes also and please upload it in the classroom. Okay, thank you.